Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. You know the song, you know what that means. That means it's the weekend, and as always, if you're one of my listeners, that means it's time for the James Freel Show. I am your host, James Freel, and as always, I am very happy to have you with me. Here is the part where I typically say we have a great show prepared for you, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. I have a show. I really shouldn't use we because it's just me, other than the guy who sends me the news, but I will explain that in a bit. We have a show for you this week. It's it's gonna be a rough one. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. I'm adjusting to a new schedule, but I'm determined to keep these going because normally when it comes to a project like this, like some sort of YouTube vlog or podcast or something, this would be the part where the person gives up. Kind of like when you stop going to the gym right around February, you know, crowds are starting to die down. You don't have to fight for the treadmill anymore. I'm going to keep these going whether if it kills me. I'm going to keep doing it even at the cost of being entertaining or good. I think this is just going to be a hiccup, but I think the past 4 or 5 shows that I've done, I've used this sports analogy that that if I'm in a series, I'm down like 3 games to 1, or more like 3 games to 0. And I think I think last week I had said that I had just lost the series and I'm looking forward to next season. Well, my free agency trading has been awful. That's this week, but we're going to make a miraculous comeback. And even though this is not going to be a good week, I am of course still going to do news for the uninformed. Still looking for a better name for it, but we will continue on. Last Saturday, Senator John McCain passed away the day after his family announced that he would no longer seek treatment for his cancer. The 2008 presidential nominee and senator, as well as Vietnam veteran, was held as a prisoner of war for over 5.5 years until his release on March 14, 1973. His wartime injury left him permanently incapable of raising his arms above his head. Wow, that's an incredible thing to hear about. I also heard something along the lines of he was given the option to be released, and the North Vietnamese wanted to use it as propaganda because his parents were high up, and they would have been like, "You see, Americans, they care more about the wealthy than they do." Yeah, I don't know. I guess that was the narrative, or even was probably also true that I don't want to dig myself in a hole here, but the idea was the lower class goes to fight, the wealthy are the ones who do it, and all that jazz. Okay, moving on, moving on. In sports, college football, Division I college football is officially back. Last night there were a few games. Among one of them, it was the Northwestern Wildcats above the Purdue Boilermakers, 31-27. Heard it was a decent game. Started out as a shootout, and then the second half was a bit of a defensive battle. Looks like, okay, Northwestern maintained their lead, even though Purdue was chipping away at it. And too bad I didn't get to watch it. This weekend we got some good games going on. I'll get to that later. And finally, in pop culture, Louis C.K., the comedian and filmmaker who retreated from the limelight last year after admitting to sexual misconduct, returned to the stage on Sunday. He made an unannounced appearance at the famed Comedy Cellar of New York's Greenwich Village late Sunday, receiving an ovation before he launched into his set. You know, I gotta say, what he did was definitely wrong, but I was pretty upset that apparently he had a special planned that was going to be released. And his 2017 special was awesome. And I really wanted to see the next one, but I still love his comedy. He's one of my favorite, not my favorite, but he's one of my favorites. He's performed some good stuff. All right, now into the rambling. Now the part that is really gonna suffer due to the state of my week. So, I had mentioned about 4 or 5 podcasts ago that I was about to get into the swing of a 40-hour work week again, which is good. If you don't know my background, you should go back and listen to a few of my other shows. I mean, they're not very good, but man, I gotta stop doing that. That's not making And I gotta stop saying I'm not. I'm gonna stop doing that. Anyway. So I'm back working my primary job during the day, and I work my secondary job when I'm in class at night. So I'm pretty tired. There's not a whole lot of free time, and that's why I didn't really get a chance to prep. So we're going old school James Freel show with this episode. I don't have my usual sheet of topics in front of me. I do have a few in mind that I plan on. Just a second, it's going to sound unpleasant. Okay, that wasn't so bad. But I don't have my normal sheet in front of me, but we're going to see how it goes. Sometimes I do feel a little tied down by that sheet when I would do this show, so let's just see how it goes. So back in the swing of things, back parking in the same old parking garage. The hospital I work at is in it's in a very, not extremely urban, but an urban enough environment to where parking is scarce. And it's a huge hospital. So in order to accommodate the massive amounts of workers, and a lot of them commute in from the suburbs, they have to build these other parking garages, and you take shuttles, and it's not that bad, but you gotta get there like a half hour before your shift actually starts, which can be a little tiresome at times. But that's that. It's good to see that I'm back in. Normally they rotate people around in the co-op I'm working with, but I went back to the same department. I saw this guy. He's a Steelers fan. Let's call him Dak. Yeah. And you might be able to figure out who he is if you're yeah, Dak. He's a guy. I like riffing with him about sports. That's about the only thing he and I can connect over. I guess that, and because he's been through the program I'm in, he's able to give me a lot of pointers about what I can expect in the upcoming classes, what I'm doing right, what I could have done better. But I sit next to him, and I gotta say, it doesn't really seem like he does a whole lot. And hey, I mean, he's got the job. He seems like he's kind of coasting. He's content where he's at. And he makes a big deal about, you know... Sorry about that. I keep adjusting where the mic is. Alright, I'm going to keep it here. He makes a big deal about not knowing how the less popular jobs are done. He's intentionally made himself ignorant so that he doesn't have to do them. Which I get, because a lot of these jobs are co-op jobs. I get it. I do. I don't know if I'd do the same thing. But there's this comical dynamic to him, and he's one of those annoying people, though. He's not annoying. I'm saying this type of fan who is a Steelers fan, but also an Ohio State fan. And that's one of the things that annoys me to no end, because clearly the two are not related. They're not. I do think state borders mean something. I don't care if you live closer to Pittsburgh than you do Columbus. It just seems to me that liking two teams that really aren't related by all that much, by in any way other than they tend to be extremely successful, it's just something that really, really annoys me. Go be a fan of Penn State. You know, that's what I say. I say that. Or University of Pittsburgh, they have more national championship titles than Ohio State did. Of course, they did it back when football wasn't nearly as popular. Back when they had those leather helmets and Notre Dame was out winning one for the Gipper. That was a good movie. What was it called? I watched it a few weeks ago for the first time. It's got a young Ronald Reagan acting as the Gipper in it. Oh jeez, this is not. No, it's going all right. It's going all right. I'm sort of just putting that in there when I don't have much to say, and I really shouldn't be acknowledging that I don't have much to say. But either way, moving on. So this week I did try something new, something I'd never done before. Because I work during the day and at night, there's about this 2-hour window that I take advantage of. The place I work at is at my school's library. and there's also a gym there with full. It's almost like a little health club, and I did not realize they have a sauna there. And I thought, hey, why not? I've never done a sauna. Let's just give it a try. I don't know if it benefited at all. It didn't get as hot as I thought it was going to. It definitely made me sweat, but it's in a very 60s looking. I don't know when this was built. The building was built back in the early 50s. I don't know when they added the sauna in, but you walk in, and the first thing I saw was a bunch of plastic vitamin water bottles, which really annoyed me. Just because the sauna is supposed to be like this peaceful place where you can meditate, and then you got to look at these brands, and it just makes it look trashy. And they were in multiple spots. It was just annoying. I think it also serves as the basketball team's locker room, so that was annoying. But prior to that, I've mentioned before on the show that my favorite way to exercise is the elliptical, and I'm not going to go on another rant about that, but it turns out my school's elliptical is exponentially better than the one I have. And I don't know if I can go back to the one I have. I mean, I'm going to have to, but the stride length of the one that my school owns, it makes you stretch out way further. And I feel like I'm getting much more of a workout as opposed to the one, because the one I have here, it almost the stride length almost just feels like you're treading water. Maybe this one makes it feel like you're lunging forward. Anyway, so tonight I gotta stay. This is why the topic sheet's helpful, because it helps me stay on topic and not jump around. I almost jumped around there, but I'm gonna keep going. I did the elliptical Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I did the sauna on Wednesday because that's when I had a big enough window that I could make it work. And I don't think I bet yeah, like I said, I think it's only the basketball team. Or obviously someone was hanging out in there because there are multiple bottles spread out, unless someone was that much of an inconsiderate person that they just drank through. That sounds unlikely. Where are you going with this? So that was that. I saw the same guy when I went to the gym. He looked to be probably 10, 15 years older than me. And I saw a handful of people. And my thing is, I like to do just 30. My workout is simple: 30 minutes on the elliptical, 3 minutes to cool down. That's it. I don't really lift weights. I always tell myself I'd like to, but I don't. And James, you said you weren't going to rant about this, so I'm not going to. But it is a little bit of an ego boost when you see people get on before you and tire out before you. No, get on after you started and tire out before you finish. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't do that, though, because I mean, I've only been doing this consistently for about 4 months, so it's really, it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, you do this for 4 months, you're already looking down on people. No, but let's just say when they're wearing gym jeans and loafers, it makes it hard. It makes it easier to. I shouldn't do that, though. That's mean. That is mean. So college football is back. Football is pretty much back. It's what I love about. I'm more of an NFL person, and I'm always focused more on the NFL than I am on college. And college tends to always start like a week or two before the NFL starts up, so it's always like this cool little surprise whenever the NCAA starts up. It's like, oh yeah, we got that. And I gotta say, typically during week one of college football, it's been my experience that there aren't a whole lot of good matchups. It's always powerhouse teams playing these really low level teams. That doesn't seem to be the case this time. We got quite a few. I think we got Auburn versus Washington. One that I'm really looking forward to is LSU versus Miami, and I think that's going to be in the Cowboys Stadium. That'll be neat. And another one I'm really looking forward to watching tomorrow, Michigan versus Notre Dame. That should be really, really fun to watch, because I believe those two are extreme rivals. Like I said, I'm not as big into college as I am in professional. I do love college. College is great. But I believe Notre Dame and Michigan are rivals, and they haven't played in a while due to Notre Dame's status. And as far as conferences go, I don't really know. Man, can you tell it's been a long week? I mean, it's probably not hard to. The quality, it's probably marginal. I've done worse than this. But, yeah, it's just, I feel like I haven't had a chance to excel since Sunday night of last week. Even that was kind of stressful. But we got Labor Day coming up. It's a 3-day weekend. Just like college football, Labor Day always seems to sort of sneak up on me. Whenever I start a new semester, and I'm getting a little too old to be still going through semesters, but I'm almost done, so I'm doing the best I can. I'm in the. If my entire college career started, then I've already rounded third, and I'm heading to home, and I'm almost there. Thank goodness, because when I am done, I'm not going to stop learning. I'm not going to stop learning, but I will be done with school. I've been there too long, and I took a lot of classes I didn't need to. I got certain degrees I didn't need to. You know my story if you've listened for a while. So I can't wait to be done. I'm can't wait to get to work, really. Full-time position. There's a sense of dignity that comes with working. Can you hear that humming? That ring? Yeah, well, who cares? I get a sense of pride when I work 40 hours a week, and I think I mentioned that when I had last talked about this a few episodes ago. But I digress. Moving on, I was going to talk about how we have Labor Day coming up, and I was kind of interested to know what exactly is the history of Labor Day, and I've heard jokes saying, it's the communists, man. They do have that wrench on there. Labor Day in the United States is a public holiday celebrated on the first Monday in September. It honors the American labor movement and the contribution that workers have made to the strength, prosperity, laws, and well-being of the country. Well, doesn't everyone work? What does that mean when they say workers? Does that just mean people who don't make a certain amount? I don't really understand. I mean, CEOs aren't a part of the working class, but it's not like he's not working. Does working just mean the icky jobs? The ones you don't like? Now let's hear, what do we got a difference between labor, Labor, and Labour day? Alright, I just read that. It is recognized as a... Alright, let's go look at Lobour day. Let's see what that is. Okay, Labor Day is an annual holiday to celebrate the achievement of workers. Labor Day has its origins in the labor unions 8.5 with advocate 8-hour work. Okay, so that seems a little more political, but I don't see the difference. Got this chart here on Wikipedia. Who cares? Who cares? The cool thing about Labor Day is just you get that day off. I mean, it does seem like it's a little contradictory because workers are awesome, and to celebrate it, we're not going to work. I'm just being mean. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's a reason why the segment at the beginning of my show is called News for the Uninformed, because I have a difficult time talking about. I mean, partly if you've listened to any of my conversations with James Freel, you haven't because they're not out yet, but in many of them, people will bring up politics, and I hesitate to speak. And I give the excuse, because I want people to listen, and if you say anything political, you instantly just lost like half of the potential listeners, and I don't want to do that. But also, there's something about when there have been times in my life when I felt like, I've got all my values, my political beliefs totally figured out. And I feel confident in them. I feel like I could defend them. And then you go out and you see people making the same arguments you think, and you start to realize, wow, do I look that dumb when I talk about politics? No, I don't try not to. And especially as a result of seeing that. And I don't know if it's that syndrome where you always have to be a contrarian, because I've been on both ends of the spectrum, and I don't want to triangulate and say, because I don't know it. That must mean I'll never know it. But it is very difficult for me to express political values, and that's why when I say things like I did about Labor Day and whatnot, I always try to backpedal really quick, because in my attempts to make a joke, and maybe can you hear the cicadas? They're coming back. On a subconscious level, it may be whatever political opinions are trying to duke it out in my head. It may be one of them getting up to the surface, and I don't want that. I want to be more confident in my views. But how do you do that? Geez, there's a dog again. How do you become more confident in your point of view? Do you become more informed? Because it seems like, I'm getting, no, I'm going to finish this thought. It seems like for every informed fact you can have, there's a fact on the other side. But I mean, I will say, I do think that there is a such thing as objective truth, but this has really gone off the rails, and I don't know who I'm targeting this to. Actually, I do, to myself, because I just like the idea of having a podcast that I've kept up with, and it makes it it almost overcompensates for the fact that I have little to no views on all of it. It's like if you just have a lot of it, that goes for something, right? Kind of like even if you only have like 4 followers, if you have 20,000 tweets, that kind of makes it, that shows that you're resilient, that you keep it up, that you're doing it for fun. And I am doing this for fun, but at times, at times, it does become a drag. Sometimes this week, I definitely felt it. Like I said, I didn't have my. I'm just still adjusting to the new week routine that I'm doing, so it's making it a little more difficult to keep up with this. But I always enjoy. Whoa, oh. I'm going to talk about. I'm rambling here, and I want to talk about something else, and that is, there's this YouTube channel that I absolutely love. He does sports, and we've talked to each other briefly via Twitter before. His name is Urinating Tree, and what I love about him is, first off, he's the only sports commentary I need. I mean, after seeing this guy, it's like, wow, I do not need. I don't need the pregame show anymore. Jeez, this dog. But his channel is really good. You should check it out. I can't believe it only has 163,000 subscribers. I think it's one of the best channels on YouTube. Let's see if it goes up when I refresh. It was 484. Yeah, it's still 484. I hope maybe he'll get one more by the time this is done, because he puts out some great content. It's high, just good quality stuff. But what I was going to say is, I'm a Cincinnati fan, and he sort of has that complex where he's from Pittsburgh, but he seems to really dislike the Steelers, which actually he probably still has a soft spot for them, but he has just totally roasted them. And it just makes me feel better, because I have to live in the division, as a Bengals fan, I have to live in the same division as arguably the most well-run team in the entire league consistently. I mean, Steelers, as far as I know, have always seemed to be successful. I think they had. Let's look up their records. Oh, go over to the old Wikipedia. Steelers record by year. I think they once went like 3 seasons of 8-8, or it was probably 2. Sorry, I'm reaching my head over. They once combined to be the Steagles. That's pretty cool. They once went 2 years in a row where they went 8-8. 2006 they went 8-8. Then 10-6, 12-4, 9-7. They missed the playoffs that year. Wow. 12-4. I do remember when they lost the Super Bowl. I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. He just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I take Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers. I have got a big soft spot for Tom Brady, even though I'm not a Patriots fan. But I do enjoy watching legacies do very well. What's the biggest stretch they've gone without making the playoffs? Jeez, it's like they're constantly making it. 85 to 88, but even there, they had a winning season. Okay, here we go. 63 to 71. They went that whole time without winning. Wow, they started out really bad. Yeah, no fair. Yeah, that just upsets me. They're such a spoiled fan base. It's like they just take it for granted that they're always going to make it to the playoffs. Oh boy, how much time do we got here left? What difference does it make? Because I have the theme song that plays automatically set. That's how I do this thing. But anything else? What else did I do this week? What else did I do? I did this song. I talked about that. I talked about going to the gym. I talked about seeing that same guy. Oh, yeah. So, in case you hadn't figured it out, I go to a community college. So there's a wide variety of people there. And you know what? I don't want to rant about this because it's just going to make me seem like a mean person. The more I think about it, maybe that's one benefit I have from doing this is it makes me a little more aware of myself. Because I got to tell you, when I'm at work, I say some really dumb stuff. And I think coworkers can see right through it. They can see right through when it looks like I'm trying to impress someone or look like I'm on the ball or make up for something. I mean, I'm still new at it. I haven't been in a professional work environment. I mean, I've been in them for a while, but nothing like an office setting or something that's a little more professional that doesn't involve stocking shelves or what have you. But that's something I gotta work on. My people skills aren't that great. And I was talking to Dak, and he was telling me, yeah, you really need to go to these networking events. And I've been to one before. I did go to one about 4 or 5 months ago, and it was all right, but I had a hard time going up to people and introducing myself, especially when groups were already there. And he told me, he's like, man, just ask them about themselves because successful people love to talk about themselves. So just bring it up, introduce yourself, let them talk, ask honest questions, try to be personable, and you'll make a good impression. So I do want to hopefully leave school with a job. It does seem like most people are. I don't know where I lie as far as workers go. I'd be interested to get an honest assessment of myself. I got an assessment of me that was relatively positive at the end of my last term, but I don't know if I buy it. I don't know, because I don't feel like I'm that good of a worker all the time. Who knows? Why do I put this? It's episodes like these that make me think, wow, at some point he's really gonna regret putting this up. But at the same time, I take comfort in the fact that no one in their right mind would listen to this thing through to the end. So I'm just gonna keep going on until the day comes that I fully regret it. The thing is, once it's up on the internet, it's essentially up there for good. I mean, then again, there's no value in this. It's not like anyone would rip it. So there's that. Unless, like I mentioned a few episodes ago about how this is like prime or really good material to make fun of a wannabe, or because it's probably obvious that I'm trying to impersonate certain other personalities. I can't help it. It's a hobby. It makes me feel kind of cool that I got. It makes me feel cool, kind of cool. What am I? 5th grade. All right. Well, there goes the theme song. As always, like I said, we're regrouping. We're regrouping here. Enjoy your 3-day weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy college football. I'm gonna say go LSU, go Bearcats, and you know what the heck? Go. I don't know. Take it.